It is long past time for Governor Pritzker to get off his jet, roll up his sleeves, and get to work here in Illinois instead of campaigning in swing states, funding Supreme Court races in Wisconsin, or chasing after CNN and MSNBC for a crumb of national political attention. His agencies, which he is supposed to take full responsibility for, are failing the people of Illinois. They are allowing the most vulnerable to be abused and neglected over and over again.
That is absolutely insane. Can I just say that when I talk about what's going on in Washington, D.C., it is about protecting Illinois. The President of the United States, actually the Congress, is proposing taking away health care from potentially 1 million people in the state of Illinois. So when I stand up and rail against that, and when I stand up and explain to folks out there that we need to fight to make sure that we're not, that we're not going to be subject to taking away health care from 1 million people, that's because I am deeply concerned about the people of the state of Illinois. I don't think in this circumstance can anybody who holds state office can not talk about what's going on at the federal level and the impact that it will have on state government and our budget.
To date, these problems continue to get worse. And each one of us in our district office hears from parents and family members of folks that are confined to these facilities. And what do they hear from the administration? Zero. When is the last time you heard the governor say, we've got a disaster in DCFS, we're going to step up and fix it, and no child is going to be harmed going forward? When is the last time the governor has visited a SILA to see what the conditions that these people live in? It doesn't occur. He doesn't put attention on the most vulnerable members of our society, and that's regardless of what's happening in DC. Every Democrat upstairs would rather have you asking the question of, what about funding from DC? What about? They continue to mismanage the agencies that we have in this state, and it's evidenced by the fact that our budget, when I got here in 2018, was $39 billion. Today, we're considering a budget for $54 billion, a $15 billion increase per year over a very quick 6-year cycle.
Since July 2018, DCFS has failed to produce incident-specific reports for over 1,200 child deaths and more than 3,000 serious injuries under the Abused and Neglected Child Reporting Act. That's 4,200 children, sons, daughters, brothers, and sisters who were failed by the system.
There are no underreported deaths, okay? We have an annual report that comes out. It is done by the independent, the IG, right, every year, and you can read about all of those situations. I do. I read that entire report. And and DCFS and I react to that every single year by making changes and adjusting to make sure that we're keeping people safe. And indeed, that is working. So I feel confident that, the allegation that was made by a reporter who doesn't understand the way the system of reporting works in the state of Illinois is just, it was a false, road that he went down. I think he couldn't stop himself by the time he'd written half of it and started learning that he was wrong, didn't want to pull back on the report.